Hello, class 10th. Today we'll start with the first chapter of biology, that is life processes. In this session, we'll be discussing about one of the major life processes, that is nutrition. But before starting nutrition, I would like to know from all of you that what is life? We look at animals and birds moving around, breathing, eating, and growing. We also look at plants which grow taller, bear flowers and fruits. We look at their visible movements and then we say that they have life. There are invisible movements in very small scale, that is, movement of molecules. Is this molecular movement necessary for life? If we ask this question to professional biologists, they will say yes. In fact, viruses do not show any molecular movement in them, and that is partly why there is a controversy about whether they are truly alive or not. Organisms are well organized structures. They can have tissues, tissues have cells, cells have smaller components made of molecules. Because of the effects of environment, this organized structure is likely to keep breaking down over time. Since all these structures are made of molecules, they must move molecules all the time. So, living creatures must keep repairing and maintaining their structures. So, we can say that life processes are the processes that together involve in maintenance of a living being. Now, since maintenance process need energy, we get energy from outside source in form of food that we eat. We also need materials from outside in order to grow, develop, synthesize protein and other substances needed in the body. To this we call as nutrition. There are two modes of nutrition, heterotrophic and autotrophic. In autotrophic nutrition, food is synthesized by the organisms itself from simple inorganic raw materials such as carbon dioxide and water. The essential elements of autotrophic nutrition are the presence of green pigment chlorophyll and sunlight. All green plants and some bacteria have this type of nutrition. In case of heterotrophic nutrition, some organisms are unable to synthesize their own food. These organisms rather obtain their food directly or indirectly from autotrophs. This food is then broken down with the help of biocatalysts called as enzymes. In this type of nutrition, no pigment or sunlight is required. All animals, fungi, and some bacteria have this type of nutrition. So let us start with autotrophic nutrition first. Carbon and energy requirements of the autotrophic organism are fulfilled by photosynthesis. Autotrophs take carbon dioxide and water, which is converted into carbohydrates in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Carbohydrates provide energy to the plant. Carbohydrates, which are not used for providing energy, are stored in the form of starch. In animals also, carbohydrates is stored in the form of glycogen in liver. In photosynthesis, 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water with the help of sunlight is converted into glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. Let us know what actually happens during the process of photosynthesis. First, light energy is absorbed by chlorophyll. Then, light energy is converted to chemical energy and splits the water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen is given out through stomata into the air for us to breathe. Carbon dioxide is reduced by hydrogen into carbohydrates. I hope you remember what you mean by reduction. Here, carbon dioxide is reduced by hydrogen to form glucose. Desert plants take in carbon dioxide at night and prepare intermediate which is acted upon by the energy absorbed by the chlorophyll during the day. Now, if you carefully observe a cross section of a leaf under a microscope, you will notice that some cells contain green dots. These green dots are cell organelles called chloroplasts. These chloroplasts contain chlorophyll. Now let us study an activity which demonstrates that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. Take a potted plant,
with variegated leaves such as money plant. Keep the plant in a dark room for 3 days so that all the starch gets used up. This is called as destarching of plants. Now keep the plant in sunlight for 6 hours. Pluck a leaf from the plant. Mark the green areas in it. Dip the leaf in boiling water and then immerse in a beaker containing alcohol. Boil the beaker in a water bath. You will observe that the chlorophyll has been removed from the leaf and is dissolved in alcohol. Now dip the leaf in a solution of iodine for a few minutes. You will see that the area which you had marked green changes to blue-black, and in the rest surface of the leaf there is no change in color. This shows that the area of the leaf that had chlorophyll could only prepare starch. This shows that chloroplast is important for photosynthesis. Plants obtain carbon dioxide from the tiny pores on the surface of leaves called as stomata. Stomata is guarded by a guard cells that regulate the opening and closing of stomata with the help of osmotic pressure. During daytime, the guard cells swell when water enters into it, and hence the stomatal pores open up. During night time, the water comes out of the guard cells, and the guard cells close the stomatal pores. Now we'll study an activity to prove that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. We'll take 2 potted healthy plants and keep it for destarching for 3 days. Now place each plant on separate glass plates and cover them with the bell jars. Use Vaseline to seal the bottom of the jars to the glass plates so that the setup is airtight. In one of the setup, we'll keep potassium hydroxide on a watch glass. Potassium hydroxide will absorb the entire carbon dioxide inside the bell jar. Keep the plants in sun for 2 hours. Pluck the leaves from both the plants and do the iodine test as we studied in the previous activity. We'll observe that the starch tests positive in the leaf of the plant in which there was no potassium hydroxide, whereas in the starch test negative in the leaf of the plant in which potassium hydroxide was kept. This shows that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Water used in photosynthesis is taken from soil. Other materials like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, magnesium are taken up from the soil. Each organism is adapted to its environment. The form of nutrition differs depending on the type of availability of food material as well as how it is obtained by the organism. For example, some organisms are holozoic, that is, the animals take in food and then digest it in their body, for example, herbivores and carnivores. Some organisms break down the food material outside the body and then absorb it. For example, saprophytic nutrition in fungi. Some organisms derive nutrition from plants and animals without killing them, like parasitic mode of nutrition. Organisms like Cuscuta or amarbel, ticks, lice, leeches, and tapeworms. Since the food and the way it is obtained differ, the digestive system is different in various organisms. In single celled organisms, the food may be taken in by the entire surface. But as the complexity of the organisms increases, different parts become specialized to perform different functions. For example, amoeba takes in food using temporary finger-like extensions of the cell surface which fuse over the food particle forming a food vacuole. Inside the food vacuole, complex substances are broken down into simpler ones which then diffuse into the cytoplasm. The remaining undigested material is moved to the surface of the cell and thrown out. In paramecium, which is also a unicellular organism, the cell has a definite shape and food is taken in at specific spot. Food is moved to the spot by the movement of cilia, which covers the entire surface of the cell. Now let's talk about nutrition in human beings. The alimentary canal is basically a long tube extending from the mouth to the anus. Various regions are specialized to perform different functions. Now let's discuss what happens to the food once it enters our body. The food in our mouth is processed by crushing with teeth to generate particles which are small, of same texture and increased surface area for better action of enzymes on the food. Saliva is secreted by salivary glands which moisten the food, and saliva consists of enzyme salivary amylase which digests carbohydrates to simple sugar in our mouth. Food next reaches stomach via esophagus with the help of peristaltic motion achieved throughout the alimentary canal. The stomach is a large organ which expands when food enters it. The muscular walls help in mixing of food with digestive juices. Digestive juices consist of HCl, pepsin, and mucus. HCl kills germs that enter our stomach via mouth and also provide acidic medium for the action of pepsin on proteins. Pepsin converts proteins into amino acids. Mucus protects the walls of the stomach from the action of HCl and pepsin. This acidic food now moves into first part of small intestine. This is the longest part of the alimentary canal. The small intestine is the site of complete digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. It receives secretions from liver and pancreas. Pancreas release pancreatic juice which consists of enzymes like trypsin for digesting proteins to amino acids, pancreatic amylase for digesting carbohydrates to simple sugar, and lipase to digest emulsified fats to fatty acids and glycerol. Pancreatic juices act in a basic medium which is achieved by bile juice secreted from liver which is stored in gallbladder. When the acidic food enters the small intestine, the gallbladder secretes bile juice, which consists of basic salts like bicarbonates of sodium, which increases the pH of food. Bile juice also helps in emulsification of fats into smaller globules for better action of enzyme lipase on it. The digested food is taken up by the walls of the intestine. The inner lining of the small intestine has numerous finger like projections called villi, which increase the surface area for absorption. The villi are richly supplied with blood vessels, which take the absorbed food to each and every cell of the body, where it is utilized for obtaining energy, building up of new tissues, and the repair of all the tissues. The unabsorbed food is set into the large intestine where more villi absorb water from this material. The rest of the material is removed from the body via the anus. The exit of this waste material is regulated by the anal sphincter. Herbivores eating grass need a longer small intestine to allow the cellulose to be digested. Meat is easier to digest, hence, carnivores like tigers have a shorter small intestine. This was all for today. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.